Kyle from St. Petersburg, Florida. What was the heat between Kevin Nash and Eddie Guerrero? Did Nash really call Eddie a vanilla midget? Yes. Vanilla midget is a term that Nash used for guys like Eddie Guerrero and Chris Benoit. And years later, Nash said that when Eddie and Chris hugged at the end of WrestleMania 20, that was the end of the wrestling business. He said that was the day that the wrestling business died. And I went to go pull the exact quote. It was from a Grantland interview that Nash did long time ago. This is probably going back 9 or 10 years now. But this was the quote from Nash in the interview. He said, when Benoit and Guerrero hugged, that was the end of the business. Has business been the same since that WrestleMania? Has it come close to the Austin era? Has it come close to the NWO or the Hogan era? You put two fucking guys that were great workers that were the same height as the fucking referees. And I'm sorry, man, are you going to watch a porno movie with a guy with a 3-inch dick? Even if you're not gay, you will not watch a porno movie with a guy with a 3-inch dick. That is not the standard in porno films. So you put a 5'7" guy as your world champion. I think part of it, honestly, is that Nash wasn't very happy about things that Eddie Guerrero said about him in his book. Eddie hated Kevin Nash. Hated him. He felt that he held back a lot of guys, including himself, in WCW. Eddie, in his book, did not bury very many people. He tried to take the high road. He was a very devout person. Kevin Nash is one of the only people who Eddie Guerrero buried in his book. But this is what he said. This is the quote from Eddie Guerrero's book. Considering how little talent he had in the ring, Nash is one of the most arrogant people I have ever had the displeasure to know. He would walk right past you and not acknowledge your presence unless he thought there was something he could get out of you. I don't say this lightly, but I genuinely feel that Nash is evil. Wow. So that tells you right there what Eddie Guerrero's thoughts were of Kevin Nash. I'm sure that must have played a role in Nash's later opinions and some of the things he said about Eddie. I'm sure that didn't sit well with him. I mean, the guy called him evil, for crying out loud. I don't know that I would call him evil. Certainly Kevin Nash did a good job of looking out for himself and looking out for his buddies and made a lot of money in the wrestling business, doing things the way that he did them. And there's certainly a lot of philosophical differences between Eddie Guerrero and Kevin Nash. But yes, Nash did make those comments. I think he made them after both guys had already passed away even. Obviously, he did there in that interview. And Eddie Guerrero was not fond of Kevin Nash. So there was definitely heat there from both sides going back to their days in WCW. Jordan from Hatboro, Pennsylvania. Buy or sell on the better WrestleMania match, Hulk Hogan against Randy Savage at WrestleMania 5, or Hogan against Warrior at WrestleMania 6. Both are in the conversation for Hogan's best match ever, but I personally find it hard to pick which is better as they're both good in their own ways. Two very different types of matches. So, this is all subjective anyway. We all know this. Buy or sell, I have to buy on Hogan Warrior and sell on Hogan Savage. Hogan Savage is one of the best matches, in-ring matches that Hogan ever had in his career. If you look at it from more of a match and like a technical perspective, and not just the whole larger-than-life thing. I mean, if you really look at it from that way, there was no bigger Hogan match than the match with Andre at WrestleMania 3. After that, you probably have to say Hogan Rock from WrestleMania 18, but then right behind that, I would probably put Hogan Warrior at WrestleMania 6. It was an epic match. If you were a young fan back then, you were either on Team Hogan or Team Warrior, but you had never seen a WrestleMania main event like that before between two of these ultimate baby faces, let alone with both belts on the line, champion against champion, title for title. It was such a unique circumstance. And so to match them up that way in a big stadium, right, like Sky Dome, 67,000 people, Hogan, who had never really been beaten straight up before at WrestleMania, misses the leg drop, Warrior pins him. I mean, it was a huge moment. It was an epic match for that time. You give me the choice, I have to buy on Hogan Warrior. That match had a bigger impact on me than Hogan and Savage did. Yeah, but just kind of looking at it objectively, who had the better match between the two? A lot of people would probably say Hogan Savage. I mean, there's really no wrong answer there. My answer, I have to buy on Hogan Warrior and sell on Hogan and Savage. But they are both very good matches.